Welcome, everyone. Today I wanted to talk about the incoming global recession. I've been following it very carefully and very closely, although I'm not in the stock market currently. I'm in crypto market. I think they're interconnected at this point. So if we have huge drops in the stock market, I think I can expect, or we can expect, drops in crypto as well. It hasn't been recognized as a safe haven asset yet. So I would lean towards more traditional assets to hedge against the incoming recession. But I think that everything is going to get hit maybe over the next few months and going into the summer. And eventually things will rebound, but we're overdue for a recession. I'm not sure how difficult it will be this time because there still seems to be a lot of market manipulation, especially when we're talking about the Feds and what they've done recently, what they did today. I'm not sure when I release this video. But I was reading an article from the IHS Market Report, and I believe they're a subsidiary of JP Morgan, and they release a amalgamation of statistics measuring global output. So this ranges from manufacturing output. So countries create goods, they export those goods to other countries, and that's their manufacturing output. So if you amalgamate the data from all the countries all over the world, you come up with this report called the Global Manufacturing PMI. And JP Morgan releases it, I believe, on a monthly basis. So you could verify what's going on from January 2020 to February 2020 to March 2020 and so on. So what is the conclusion from the March 2nd report? We've been dealing with the coronavirus, I'm not sure, for a month now. And it's very interesting to see how that would affect manufacturing output, because where the virus originated from was China, and China produces a majority of the world's goods. So if their people are quarantined and they're not able to work or produce in the same capacity, you'd expect that their manufacturing ability would decrease over time. And what does that do? It's all a feedback loop. If they can't produce as many goods, then manufacturers in the United States and Western countries all over the world, they can't order the same supplies or finished goods that they could previously. So that would decrease the expenditures of those companies, the profits, the revenue, and that would affect the entire global stock market. Lots of different factors lead to different things. For example, people are scared to travel. If they're scared to travel, maybe airline stocks may decrease, and they have decreased in value. Lots of airline stocks have decreased because they've had to cancel flights to certain areas because of the coronavirus, which leads to decreased revenue, decreased profit, and ultimately a smaller income statement at the end of the year. Stocks may have to adjust their EPS, or their earnings per share, before the next stock report because of this lapse of time from manufacturing during the onset or the onslaught of the coronavirus. So what did we learn from this March 2nd report? We learned that the global manufacturing PMI went down to its lowest value since May 2009. And I'm going to put a little graphic here, but it's pretty incredible. I'm going to put the graphs for the global manufacturing output. You can obviously see a sharp decline. You can also see a sharp decline in global manufacturing exports. You can see a sharp decline in global manufacturing lead times and inventories. So how much a factory in China, is working with a company like Apple in the United States, and they need a lead time on their iPhones. They say they're going to manufacture the iPhones within a 4-week period. And that includes creating it in the factory and then shipping it FOB via container ships and arriving at some port in the west coast of the United States. The lead times have to be extended, so that iPhone delivery that they wanted may take from maybe 4 weeks. It was 4 weeks before. Now it may take 8 weeks, which means that stores may not have as much stock, which means they run out of merchandise, which means people don't go to the stores, which means they decrease the revenue, decrease the profit, etc. The future expectations and backlogs of orders has gone up. So people expect that when this finishes, the backlog of orders will be filled. The global manufacturing output, which is probably one of the most influential statistics in this report, it is such a sharp decline. You see China, it's lower than it was in 2008 after that recession. So their output has just completely cratered. And the media likes to portray this, or certain outlets in the media like to portray like this is not a problem, but it is a problem. I was reading also an article on CNN, and they were doing a sort of those topographical maps, or they were looking at satellite pictures of China. They were looking at Wuhan, China, and various other regions. And the electricity output for those cities has gone dramatically down, which means that people are not in the factories. People are probably being quarantined. People are probably being treated for the coronavirus, and they're trying to contain it and eradicate the spread. We have the spread of the virus in various countries. We have the first 6 deaths in Washington state, and there are cases popping up all over the United States slowly but surely. And it's interesting because I also read somewhere that the spread of the virus is pretty much inevitable, and especially within the United States, well, everywhere. But in this country, there are a lot of people that do not have health insurance. You know, I have health insurance. I pay a pretty premium for my health insurance, and it's a terrible health insurance. Like, you still have to pay a lot out of pocket. But a lot of Americans are not insured. So, when you think about viruses spreading, say an individual catches the virus and immediately seeks medical attention, whether that be at their local doctor or their local hospital, they're given some sort of antibiotics, or they're given some sort of schedule to follow to make sure that they don't remain contagious and spread the contagion elsewhere. So that person may only spread it to a couple people, but if you do not have health insurance, and we are a country that lives pretty much paycheck by paycheck, just like the government, these people are going to forego medical treatment, and they may go to work, and instead of infecting 2 people, now they're infecting 10, now they're infecting 20. So it's a lot different. The scale is different. It could lead to rapid spreading of the virus. So that will affect global manufacturing output as well. You can look at the manufacturing PMI output rankings. So for the world, in developed world and emerging markets, it is by far contracting. So there's a left-hand side and there's a right-hand side. Right-hand side of the graph means that it's expanding. Left-hand side means it's contracting. And developed world emerging markets are contracting. The Eurozone is contracting. There are a few countries that are expanding, like Greece, India, Colombia, Turkey, Ireland, Brazil, and a few others. But for the majority of the countries, the output rankings are contracting. China is actually contracting the most, and this is where we are sourcing a majority of our goods. So we may have to start sourcing elsewhere in the meantime. So manufacturing PMI output for key economies is also down. The supplier delivery times is also down. And supplier delivery times by country, almost all countries have longer delays for items. And I thought this was just a very interesting read. So it will be very telling to see how the coronavirus, if it spreads, becomes some sort of pandemic, how it affects the global economy. There's often a narrative that the economy is robust, but it really isn't. It's pretty much one paycheck away from being broke, and this is why people are attributing the coronavirus to this downward spiral in the stock market, which is 100% true. The coronavirus has led to decreased manufacturing output and ultimately decreased productivity. And that has ultimately just created some sort of crash within the market. But that's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is that we are in crippling debt. We've been in crippling debt for a long, long time. Check the U.S. debt calculator. And economics can be a scary topic. It can be a very convoluted topic. The numbers can be arbitrary and you may not even understand where they're going. It's hard to grasp your head about what 1 trillion means, or what 1 billion means, or what 10 trillion means, or what our debt means, 23 trillion. What does that even mean? Is that just a string of numbers? But think about it like this. Have you ever known someone, I mean, a majority of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, but have you ever known someone who maybe makes a lot of money, but still has to, I don't know, clock into work 23 out of 24 hours a day to maintain their lifestyle? Because if the money stops coming in, it's over. That's sort of like what the U.S. is. It's a very analogous. You know, if for some reason that person gets laid off, and this can be translated to various different economic classes, whether you're not making a lot of money or you're making a lot of money, or whether you're making an average salary, doesn't matter. A lot of people are just a few paychecks away from just having their car repossessed or their home repossessed, or they can't pay their mortgage, they can't pay their car bill, they can't buy the necessities for the household. It's exactly what the US is. So every event that happens in the world completely shakes up the market, because we're in debt to everyone. We have to pay our bills regardless for the economy to keep on churning, or the economy to keep on going. So every single thing that happens is going to have a dramatic effect. And the coronavirus, if it spreads to a lot of people, it's going to have an effect. It's going to have a serious effect, because bill collectors still come. So please keep that in mind. I hope that everyone is staying safe and keeping up to date with the news. Make sure that you take proper safety precautions. I know I will. You never know with these things. I know they say that the immune system of individuals may compromise someone's health more than another individual, but everyone's body works differently. So I hope that everyone tries to stay as safe as possible. And just in case things go a little bit awry, because this thing will probably spread over the next few months, maybe over the next year. You never know. It could take a while. I'd also like to say that the Feds decreased the interest rate today by 50 basis points. So basically, we're going towards zero. So they're just giving out free money without people having to pay those returns on the loans. And basically what this means is it leads to inflation. And in layman's terms, it leads to inflation. If you're decreasing the savings rate of bank accounts, and you're decreasing all these different expenditures for all these different revenue streams for interest, then people are just going to borrow, and expand the economy under false pretenses, because they haven't paid that money back, and we're just going to continue expanding. So there is a likelihood that we hit some kind of recession this year, if we haven't hit one already. And how bad that recession is going to be all dependent on how manipulative the Feds are in cutting the interest rates and infusing more fake money within the ecosystem. So eventually the house of cards will fall. When will that be? Who knows? How bad will it be? I don't know. But stay prepared, always hedge, and yeah, but that's it. So take it away, Toys R Us. And this is Toys R Us. This is what nonstop expanding leads to. A bunch of retail locations with high amounts of loans, low interest rates, and they all are closing down. Also because of competition. But more and more of this is going to happen, and I'm sure you have some sort of Toys R Us looking building near you. Have a great day, everyone, and until the next video. Bye.